From the Russ Center for Media in downtown Cape Girardeau, welcome to Focus on Southeast, a program on issues, events, and people impacting Southeast Missouri State University and the broader community. I'm Dan Woods with KRCU Public Radio. Today we're spending time with Dr. Brad Hodson, President of Southeast Missouri State University. We'll talk about the university budget, some potential changes in academics, get a facilities update, and much, much more if time allows. We have a lot on the agenda. Dr. Hodson, good to see you.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
So let's start at the top, I guess, with the budget at the university and how things are looking there. I know there's challenges just overall in the economy, and it's impacting higher ed too, right?
Certainly, and we all the time are evaluating our revenue, our expenses to make sure we have a balanced budget. We don't have a choice. We must balance our budget.
Yeah, and there's some things going on with academics and changes there too, and that's, again, not just necessarily a budget matter, but streamlining as times change. Needs change for businesses in the area. Talk about that just a little bit. I know there's still some generalities around that as of yet. Yeah.
Certainly, and all of these processes might seem like one-offs, but they should be a routine part of our evaluation of the efficacy of the university. How are we using student and taxpayer dollars to meet our goals and to meet the needs of the region? So we should go through this exercise annually to make sure that our programs, our expenses and revenue all line up to do the most we can with the resources we have.
And the thing about the university, it's always been this way, it's a very collaborative, campus-wide effort. Everybody works together in these areas, which is tremendous.
That's a requirement because there are so many departments and offices. It's a very large organization, 900 employees, almost 9,000 students. To do it in a vacuum would not only be counterproductive, but it would be ineffective.
Yeah, it wouldn't work. Another big headline here we want to highlight is Best Small College Town. Talk about that. I know you're excited about that.
I'm very excited about that. The world has finally figured out what we've known forever, and that is that Cape Girardeau is a tremendous place to live and work and go to school. Yeah. USA Today surveyed all of their readers and asked for the top small college towns in America, and Cape Girardeau, Missouri was number 5 in America. So we are in the top 5, and we're very excited about that honor. I'll be going around in the coming weeks to the Chamber of Commerce, to the Convention and Visitors Bureau, different groups, to just say thank you. The university didn't make this honor occur. It's the people in the community, the businesses, the leadership that made Cape Girardeau a very productive and fun and enjoyable place to study and to live and to work, and we just couldn't be happier.
So next year we want to move up the list, I'm guessing,
right? There's 4 more spots ahead of us, and we just keep chipping away.
Progress is the key here.
That's right.
Let's talk about some facilities things that are happening. There's a lot of stuff going on campus right now. Folks have visited the campus. Most recently, very exciting groundbreaking.
We were very honored to have Senator Roy Blunt on campus in early April for a groundbreaking ceremony. You know, Dearmont, the former residence hall, took quite a while to demolish that very sturdy concrete and steel facility. It's down, but it was an opportunity to celebrate the official commencement of construction of Blunt Hall with Senator Blunt here, and a very large crowd on a beautiful bright April morning, and it was just a tremendous day for SEMO.
Actually, it was warmer than I think we all thought it was going to be. It was actually a little toasty that day.
Yes, that's right.
Talk about the building a little bit. It's going to be a 3-story building, I think.
It'll be a 3-story building. It won't overshadow any of its neighbors, Kent Library or Academic Hall. It'll be very nicely designed and constructed. It will house all of our allied health programs. Would be a new home for them, both in terms of faculty offices, laboratories, classrooms. It'd be a really exciting addition to our facilities portfolio.
One of the things Senator Blunt mentioned when he was here, just how healthcare has changed so much in the last, 25 years, and how this building now is going to be, and the programs there will position the university to catch up with whatever's going on, no matter what the changes might be in the future.
I think he's dead on, not only for healthcare, but that's true of every one of our academic programs. As technology evolves so quickly, as the expectations in industry and the workforce change, we try to keep up and even keep ahead. But that's very challenging, not only intellectually, but also financially and with our personnel. So he was right. Things move very quickly these days.
And that building's going to be right at the forefront of whatever happens.
That's right. And it will be a great addition to our healthcare academic programs.
Very exciting. Talbert Terrace. What's that about? It's in front of the library, right?
It is. It's the area between the front steps of Academic Hall and the steps of Kent Library. That area has needed some attention for some time. The fountain that has been there since the 90s hasn't worked in 3 or 4 years, is my understanding. The pavers are chipped. The landscaping has become unimpressive. And so a chance to redevelop that entire area thanks to the generosity of the Talbert family here in Cape Girardeau, a $2 million gift to allow us to put in new stamped concrete, 2 new fountains, new landscaping, and the centerpiece of it all is a 17-foot tall bronze Red Hawk statue.
Really?
That will be at the heart of that plaza. And so really a nice addition to what is in many ways the front door of campus.
Well, it is. And a lot of events happen there, and I suspect there will be more that will happen once this is completed.
There are a lot of events that happen there, and I probably in the spring don't have a week go by that there isn't a photo shoot. Right outside my office window. The other day there was a bride and a groom, and they were both graduates, and they were having their wedding photos taken in front of academic halls. So
Really?
It will be a photo stop for sure.
That's exciting. Brant Music Hall is going away soon.
Yes,
That's going to change the landscape a little bit too.
It will. It will. That facility had served its useful purpose, and we have budgeted funds in the new year to demolish that, and work's already underway.
Wow.
We want to take advantage of the summer break, but I had hoped that we could do sort of an exciting explosion like you see on YouTube where the little flashes at the bottom and it might tumble forward. But no, we're doing a very controlled, responsible demolition, which isn't as visually exciting.
And I guess is anything going in that space, or is it just going to be green space?
Space.
Green space,
Yeah.
okay. Last thing about facilities I want to ask you about is Stadium Phase 2.
Yes.
That's on a pause or it's being retooled. Talk about that a little bit.
Well, we took the project out to bid. It came back far more expensive than even our consultants estimated, and so we have a limited budget for that. We're not going to dip into any other source of funds to make that project possible, and so we want to go back out on the street, identify a new design consultant, a new architect, contractor, to work with us in partnership to imagine a facility that fits our budget.
Because it's design build, and I guess, is it just doing it in a different way? It doesn't mean doing it in pieces, does it?
No, not at all. It's just a different approach to a new facility construction project. The traditional model, which we followed as an institution the first time, it took several years to get us to a design, is that you engage an architect, they work on a design, then you send it out to bid. The contractors have their look at it. Design build is really collaborative from the beginning. You select a contractor right up front, they work with an architect, and everybody's in every meeting from day one. You generally get a more cost-effective facility. You get some design enhancements that might not have otherwise been possible because the contractor will see things the architect doesn't. And so we're hopeful that we might get a building that we can use for the intended purpose that, again, is within our budget.
Okay. Before we go to a break here, I just want to talk a little bit about, let's zoom back about Blount and Talbert and Brant coming down and talk about what a campus looks like. What does that mean to a family that's visiting? Talk about the aesthetic and what that means.
So much of a student's and their family's decision to come to school here is made on their campus visit. And so ensuring that we put our best foot forward from day one with not only the quality of the buildings, the interior and the exterior, but of our landscaping, of our outdoor artwork, of parking, of accessibility. Those are all important things as prospective students and their families visit campus and are making decisions amongst a variety of options. We know who our competitors are regionally, and we know what their strengths and weaknesses are. The beauty of our campus is one of our strengths, but that is a constant need of care and upgrade. And so when you talk about Talbert Terrace, Blount, demolishing expired buildings, it really is making sure you're putting your best foot forward.
It makes an impact. It makes a difference.
Big difference.
And sometimes construction work can be annoying. It kind of disrupts things, but it's important.
Well, I always say if you don't see orange cones on a college campus, it's a campus that is stagnant. You should always be evolving. And so my goal is to have orange cones everywhere for as long as I'm here because it shows progress.
Okay. Well, let's take a pause here. We're going to take a break. We'll continue our conversation with Dr. Hodson in just a moment. This is Focus on Southeast, and we'll be right back.
What does it take to stand tall? To let curiosity take root? To let your dreams take flight? You have to be too stubborn to quit, too smart to fail. Forged with an iron will, raised on river mud and big dreams. You have to know when to dig in, because the Mississippi is wide, but your ambitions are wider. You have to be fearless, because the only thing to fear is your wasted potential. So go deeper, carve your path without permission, Turn your grit into greatness. Stand on a community who has your back. This is your small town with big ideas, where hometown pride makes a global footprint. This is where you find your fearless. This is SEMO.
Welcome back to Focus on Southeast. We're spending time today with SEMO President Brad Hodson. Let's talk strategic plan. I know that's something we're getting to that point. Where are we at in that process, and what will it mean for the institution?
Absolutely. We are near the end of that process. It began in September and October with the formation of a task force that worked with an outside consultant to develop a plan that actually earlier today I got my first look at the plan, and it's very exciting. All the things we talked about in the first segment, what academic programs to invest in or to reduce, what facilities to build or take offline, how you appeal to prospective students, all of that emanates from a centralized strategic plan. It is your roadmap for the next 3 to 5 years and how you make decisions, how you spend money, what you advocate for in Jefferson City, what you work with private donors on from a program and building perspective. And so that document, that strategic plan, is very important to the campus in decision making for the coming years. I'm really excited to share it with the Board of Governors at their June meeting.
Yeah, because this kind of helps you figure out how we're going to do things. And I guess if a department says, we've got this fantastic idea, it's going to be great, it's going to cost this, and you're like, okay, let's look at I mean, that really helps you filter it through, right?
And therefore, the decision whether or not to proceed with an idea isn't Brad's decision. It's the plan says, here's the future vision that we aspire to, and here's the steps we need to take to get to that future vision. And if a new idea fits in those steps, fantastic. We love ideas. But if it's out here and it really isn't part of that progression, then there's a rationale for saying, not now. Maybe later, but not now.
And talk about how collaborative this is, because it's not, you didn't sit at your desk and sort of sketch this out and tell the consultants, I want it to look like this. That's not how that works, right?
As I said, I saw the plan and its goals for the first time today because we formed a task force that was made up of internal and external constituents. There were 15 members of the task force. 5 of them were outside the university. Those are the folks that work with the consultant. I had no contact from an operational basis with the consultants. I didn't say, here's what I want, now you figure out a way to get there. I'm excited about the work they've done because it represents the campus's input.
And that has to be exciting for you because you're seeing it, when you see it for the first time, you're seeing what all of these groups, right? So it tells you, okay, so I've been thinking about this, this is right on, or that's not, I didn't expect that.
Yeah. So what they did, they took feedback from dozens of listening sessions. I'm thinking there were 15 to 20 listening sessions inside and outside the institution. They had accumulated all the comments, all the dreams, aspirations, concerns. They had found themes and buckets. And so I got to see all those comments, and it was really exciting to see how comments from different groups at different times across the fall and the spring coalesced into these 4 themes that will be unveiled in June.
It's always interesting when you get all those different groups together like that and how the themes do come out.
They're saying the same thing.
Right, isn't that, I find that to be just a fascinating process.
Yeah, and the consultants told us that in the beginning that would happen, but to see it work firsthand was very exciting.
So that'll be a new thing coming soon, right?
It will,
It'll be exciting. Let's talk a little about academics and the Criminal Justice 90-hour program. This is a big deal, and explain why it is such a big deal.
Well, it's a big deal because we're the first in the state to offer a reduced credit hour bachelor's degree. That means the traditional 120 credit hour 4-year degree is being reduced for a variety of reasons. This is something that higher education has wanted for many years, but the national accrediting bodies, for us, the Higher Learning Commission, really discouraged it by saying we want to stick with the traditional 4-year degree. Well, changes in how higher education is funded from the state to the individual student, changes in employer demand for workforce talent, all of those things coalesced to really put pressure on the accreditors to say, let's take a look at a reduced credit hour bachelor's degree. SEMO is the first in the state of Missouri to get one approved by the Higher Learning Commission and by the state. It is a 90 credit hour bachelor's degree, which means it can be completed in 3 years. So if you come into college from high school or the workforce with no credits, no early college, no dual credit, you can complete a bachelor's degree in 3 years. If you come in with some dual credit, you just shave more time off of that here at the university. The net effect is that students can enter the workforce more quickly, and they do so with less debt. And so that's the part I'm really excited about, is the less debt. We love having students here for 3, 4, sometimes 5 years because we get to know them. They're a part of our community. We invest in them.
Right.
But the reality is students bear more of the cost of their education than ever before. And so they want to be as efficient and as affordable as possible. So we've cut a year off of their cost. And then the employers are demanding more and more talent more quickly. So again, we get them out in the workforce a year before they might otherwise have entered. And so I think it's a win all around. The way we reduced it is we didn't reduce any content. They're still learning the same things.
Yeah.
There were a lot of free electives that over time had gotten into that 120 hours. We were able to pare those back. And so actually in the case of criminal justice, they added a course of criminal justice content. So they added 3 credit hours. We just took out a lot of the free electives. The general education that the state of Missouri prescribes is still in place.
Okay.
So we made all those puzzle pieces fit together, and the board at their next meeting will be approving more reduced credit hour degree programs. It is a trend, and SEMO is leading, and we will continue to lead.
So, and it's a huge thing. And now some programs probably won't lend themselves to this, but others, there probably are some that will fit this template.
There are.
Which is, again, going to impact students and their families and lower debt, quicker in the workforce. Tremendous.
And if I had to put money on it, even those that today don't appear either through the complexity of their curriculum or from accreditation requirements to neatly fit into this, over time the pressure will be there for those accreditors to figure this out because this is where higher education is heading.
Well, when Doug Koch was on here, I asked him, I said, who came up with 120? Where did 120? I guess 120 came up at something. I don't know.
Yeah, in the 1800s. I mean, it's been around forever. Yeah.
So maybe it is time to change things a little bit.
It is time. Yeah.
Yeah. One more thing before we go to break here. A child care facility coming to the Sikeston campus, right?
Yes.
This is something that's been in the works for a little bit too.
It has, and really got off the ground when I visited Sikeston in the spring before I even took my role here at the university. I did a listening tour throughout southeast Missouri and the Boot Heel. When I was in Sikeston, they noted that the university used to offer a child care facility, closed it because of budget constraints, but that the workforce was suffering because moms and dads didn't have a place to put their children who aren't of school age in a child care facility while they went and worked. And so the regional employers in Sikeston were asking aggressively, we need help. And so we partnered with the Sikeston Chamber of Commerce, a number of nonprofits there in that region, to develop a new child care facility in our Sikeston regional campus that will serve up to 50 families. So that's 50 moms or dads that now can enter the workforce, meet those regional needs, but also increase their income and know that their son, daughter is in a safe learning environment at our regional campus.
Universities serving the region, which is important.
Which is why I and other members of the cabinet have to get out and listen.
Yeah.
Because that's how we learn things like, hey, we really need a child care facility here. If I hadn't had the opportunity to sit down with those community leaders, talk about what they needed from the university, we would have never been led down this path. So the first year was great. It was a get to know you year, but those conversations become more and more important in the coming years because the needs of the region evolve and the capacity of the institution evolves. We have to make sure we're in alignment.
Yeah. We're going to take one more break. We'll continue our conversation with Dr. Hodson in just a moment. This is Focus on Southeast. We'll be right back.
What does it take to stand tall? To let curiosity take root? To let your dreams take flight? You have to be too stubborn to quit, too smart to fail. Forged with an iron will, raised on river mud and big dreams. You have to know when to dig in, because the Mississippi is wide, but your ambitions are wider. You have to be fearless, because the only thing to fear is your wasted potential. So go deeper, carve your path without permission. Turn your grit into greatness. Stand on a community who has your back. This is your small town with big ideas, where hometown pride makes a global footprint. This is where you find your fearless. This is SEMO.
welcome back to Focus on Southeast. We're spending time today with SEMO President Brad Hodson. So let's shift gears a little bit and talk about executive searches. I know that's something that's been ongoing and still in the process of some of those still coming soon, right?
Right. When I took office July 1st, we had 3 interim vice presidents that those positions needed to be filled on a more permanent basis. And so I conveyed to the faculty and the staff that we would first address the Enrollment Management and Student Success VP. Dr. Bruce Skinner served admirably as the interim. We did a national search and hired Dr. Steve Schulteis, who comes to us from Middle Georgia University, where he held a similar position. Dr. Schulteis has already hit the ground running and making great strides in student recruitment and retention efforts, and that's very important, obviously. The next one, from a staging perspective, was the Vice President for Finance and Administration. Again, a national search. We have selected Dr. Corey Bradford, who has held similar positions at a number of other universities in Texas and Illinois, and Dr. Bradford will be joining us in mid-June.
Okay.
The Vice President for Finance and Administration oversees human resources, IT, facilities, university police, a lot of operational units that serve the whole campus. And then the final VP search that we will do in the fall is the Provost and Vice President for Academic Affairs. Dr. Doug Koch has been in that interim role a number of years, but I hope when we sit down a year from now, I'll have a full cabinet and everyone will be in a permanent position and we'll be moving forward again with that strategic plan. It's full steam ahead.
Yeah, and everybody will have the same blueprint to follow.
That's right.
When you said Dr. Schulteis, it reminded me that I wanted to ask you about summer enrollment. I've seen more of a push, I guess, from years past that I remember about summer enrollment. What's going on there?
Well, and I want to give credit to Dr. Schulteis. He saw that that was an opportunity to make gains in our enrollment and our tuition and fee revenue, and so he has been promoting, along with Dr. Koch and the academic deans, the idea of encouraging students to not allow summer to just be a lost time period.
Yeah.
We talked about where did 120 hours come from.
For
whatever reason, we are still tied to this agrarian mindset to our calendar that we can't take college classes in the summer. Well, you absolutely can, and it also helps you progress towards your degree more quickly, get out in the workforce. So Dr. Schulteis was a very early proponent of summer enrollment, promoting that to our students. Again, it helps the institution financially, but more importantly, it helps the students in their progress towards a degree.
Yeah, I took a summer class on ancient Egypt when I was here many years ago. I learned a lot.
I took my summer class in physics because I was told that Dr. Sloan was a little more laid back in the summer, and he was great. I don't know that it was any easier, but I took physics in the summer.
Yeah. So I mean, and
that was a 5-hour course, so I didn't have to compete with other classes I was taking. I could really focus in on something. I was not a science math major. I knew it was going to be difficult. It was perfect.
Yeah, because I think my thing was I wanted to take that so my fall load wouldn't have been as large because it took some of the pressure off.
Yeah. I also took tennis in the summer because I heard that they didn't make you run in the summer because it was so hot, which they didn't, so it was great.
Well, that's a good thing.
Yeah. Back when physical education was a component of general education.
Yeah.
So.
We got about 4 minutes left. I'd like to just sort of take a trip down memory lane for the past year, if you don't mind. So you've been here almost a year now.
Yes.
What are some thoughts, reflections from SEMO during this almost first year now?
Well, certainly there have been some surprises, nothing that I feel like was withheld or not explained fully, but a university is a rapidly evolving place, and I had to come up to speed very quickly, and so that's always a first-year attribute that I think has been borne out here. The folks, the people, both inside the university and outside have been tremendous. Very friendly, very welcoming, very patient with the new guy. I kind of feel like the honeymoon is sunsetting, which I'm a little sad about, but we're now more into substantive issues. There's not as much deference or sort of let's let the new guy think about this for a while. It's a little more fast-paced, a little more let's address issues head on, and I like that. But the first year was very productive, very, very kind, very welcoming. Again, I feel like I had the opportunity to learn things, to experiment, to put some relationships together. Anytime you come to a small town, a university, figuring out who's related to whom and who's worked here a long time and who used to supervise this person. I've put some of those puzzle pieces together. It has been a very exciting first year. I keep a little file folder in my desk, and every time something great happens, I make a little note, and every time something challenging happens, I make a little note, and I'll tell you, I'm on my second page for great things that have happened, and I'm still on my first page for challenges that we've had. So the good things are far outpacing the challenges.
So that's good. Did being already, I mean, you're from Joplin, I guess, from before you came here. Did being in Missouri, does that sort of help?
Absolutely.
I mean, the
That is a
transition?
tremendous attribute. I didn't have to learn Missouri politics or Missouri
That's huge.
history.
That's huge.
My time in Jeff City, I think, was more effective from day one because I knew the players. Certainly brought all the relationships in the legislature from Southwest Missouri with me, made new ones in Southeast Missouri. So I feel like being a Missourian, growing up in the state, my wife is from Missouri.
Yeah.
Having lived in the state in higher education for the past 10 years has been a tremendous asset.
And I know you've been in Jeff City quite a bit. I mean, that's important, right? I mean, that's just something that has to be done in this day and age.
I will have made, by the time the session's over, 8 trips since January to Jeff City to advocate for the university. It is absolutely a critical part of my job.
Well, and of course, and in Jeff City, they have a limited amount of funds too, and making sure that we're there saying, hey, here's some needs that we have, that's vitally important.
Out of sight, out of mind does not work in Jefferson City. You have to be there consistently, and you have to build those relationships outside the legislative session to leverage them when they are in session.
Because that's probably going to fish fries and community events where they're at. I mean, things that are not necessarily in Jeff City.
Well, and
their
in the
district.
fall, I was in all parts of the state visiting elected officials in leadership positions just for a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Just introduce myself, talk about SEMO, and preview what we'd be asking for in 2026.
Very important. Dr. Hodson, we're out of time. Always good to visit with you. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Focus on Southeast is a collaboration of KRCU Public Radio and the Department of Mass Media here at Southeast Missouri State University. And just a reminder that you can find past episodes of this program at krcu.org and on our YouTube channel. From the Russ Center for Media, I'm Dan Woods. Thanks for watching. Be sure to tune in next time when we focus on Southeast.